Oh my God. She's so drunk.
Those who don't appreciate life do not deserve life.
Hello, and welcome to Cheers to Fears, where we take horror films and turn them into drinking games. I'm Alex.
And I'm Tucker, and today we'll mark the halfway point of our Saw movie marathon, continuing with Saw 4, directed again by Darren, Lynn, Bousman, and this time being written by Patrick Melton, Marcus Dunstan, and Thomas Fenton.
Melton and Dunstan also both worked on Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark and the Collector series. With that being said, let's see what the new writers have to show with the fourth Saw movie.
Saw 4 is about yet another mystery about the Jigsaw killings. With John Kramer and Amanda being dead, the killing should have stopped, right? That is what one would think, but the murders are still happening.
Now the main question is why the murder is still happening, and is there another Jigsaw murderer? Follow Commander Rick through the city as it's his turn to play Jigsaw's deadly game.
The spoilers start now, because we'll be discussing things like how many deaths are involved in this movie. So if you'd like to watch the movie first, please use our drinking rules, which are now posted on screen. Grab a beer, turn it on, and come back when you're done.
On with the customary reading of the rules, starting as always with death. Drink whenever somebody dies. For this, we had a sum of 11 drinks.
With the second common horror trope rule, we have drink if you hear a scream, cry, or yell, returning. For this rule, we had a combined total of 24 drinks. On to the Saw series exclusive rules, starting with whenever you see a Billy doll, you must take a drink. This equaled out to 9 drinks for this movie. For the next rule, we have to drink whenever the words game or jigsaw is said. For these two rules, we counted 6 drinks for game and 10 drinks for jigsaw, respectively giving us 16 drinks for this rule. Since it is a fourth Saw movie, there is always bound to be more flashbacks. This Saw movie has a total of 12, which in according to our drinking rules, you must take 12 drinks. On to the most beloved rule for the Saw series, which gave us a total of 8 drinks. It's whenever you see a new trap. Once again, we have the rule whenever a tape is played, you have to take a drink. We have a grand total of 13 tapes that are played throughout the movie.
Officer Rigg, your first task.
In the fourth Saw movie, we counted a total of 5 Saws. For this rule, where you have to drink every time you see one, it gave us 5 drinks. The last rule for the Saw franchise is whenever there is jumpy or flashy editing, take a drink. This is not only giving us a headache on the screen, but even more the next morning, because it counted a total of 18 drinks for the second highest number of drinks in this movie. For Saw 4, we only had one movie exclusive rule for this film. The rule was drinking to every interesting scene transition. For this rule, whenever the scene changes in an interesting or unique way, you're required to take a drink. Added onto all the other drinking rules, we had only 5 additional drinks with this one. And that does it for all the rules for Saw 4. This movie was a complete night and day difference compared to Saw 3. Whereas Saw 3 had the highest drink totals for us here on Cheers to Fears, Saw 4 had the lowest drink total at 121 drinks, which is equivalent to drinking 4 standard 12-ounce cans. That number is based on a 30 sip per can scale. Drinking for the movie was much better this time. Oh, absolutely. Compared to last Saw, where there was 170 drinks, now there's only 121. It was a nice little break. There's still a decent amount of drinking involved. Like
I think all of them are for the most part.
But it felt a lot easier compared to Saw 3.
Oh, 100%.
We did still have the pattern where it was a tape being played, introducing new trap, Billy comes on screen, there was death, screaming. It had all those components, but Jeff wasn't there to mess us up this time.
I mean, he was there. Yeah, speaking of Jeff, his one and only scene. So what do you think he does in his one and only scene? He sees a cop, and immediately the first thing he does is just pulls a gun on him, and then the cop shoots him. Good job, Jeff.
Just goes to show another decision where he caused some sort of...
I like how there's new writers, but even these writers understand that Jeff was a bumbling moron.
So putting Jeff aside, we don't need to talk about him anymore. I feel like Jigsaw had a better victim selection this time around. For example, the sexually abusive guy, he was a good person to just kill. Or set up for death. And then there was also the principal who was abusing the kid. So just those two examples are alone better victims to choose.
So, like, here's the thing. I think Agent Strom said it in the movie that he's trying to make Rig feel as he feels, for example. Like, see as I see, feel as I feel. And, like, I'm pretty sure like, you'd get the point across a little bit more if you weren't choosing people that were depressed and if you were choosing people that actually did bad things in their life.
Right.
That might get the point across a little bit more, Jigsaw, and people might side with you a little bit more.
Yeah. And I actually like the way they connected the traps by saying, see what I see, and then feel what I feel. I like that theme throughout the movie. It kind of made it a little bit more uniform, I guess.
So with good victims, there's always the bad victims. So like Art Blank, for example, he was the lawyer. I think he knew John Kramer in real life. So he used to work with Art Blank. They were business partners. They had the Gideon factory. I think they at one time were supposed to be giving housing to less fortunate people or something along those lines. And Jigsaw wants him murdered for some reason. I guess there's the defense where he's defending criminals that should be let off of crimes or should not be let off of crimes, I guess.
Yeah. So speaking about Art Blank, that leads us to our first trap,
Yeah.
the see no evil or speak no evil.
Yeah, the mausoleum trap, whatever you want to call it. I like see no evil, speak no evil. I feel like that just makes so much more sense.
I did like that trap, but as I was watching, I was kind of thinking, how would they have won that trap?
Yeah, it's hard. And like, how are they supposed to know what to do, especially when they literally can't communicate and Jigsaw puts them in a position where they can't communicate?
Yeah.
I guess the other thing to add is the other guy in the trap, I think his name's like Trevor or something like that, it did not specify what he did wrong in life.
Yeah, true.
So that was something that you should probably clarify that a little bit. I would have liked to see them escape both traps because obviously, you know, with Art Blank, he was shown later in the movie, and I guess not a lot of people know what the trap that he was in.
Yeah.
It was called the spine cutter. So basically what it did is it just snipped his spine if it didn't do what he was instructed.
Right.
So I think that's pretty cool. I would have actually loved to see that happen, but it never did. But traps we did see, we saw the scalping trap.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting where she was getting scalped from her hair being twisted up.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot with it, but it was interesting to see, I guess.
It was a neat concept,
Yeah.
good design, I liked it.
And of course, that leads us to the bedroom trap, which involved the peeping Tom.
Yeah.
I believe he was one of the more deserving people to get it, of course. And I did like the trap, how it kind of just ripped off all of his limbs.
I like the mechanism for sure. Yeah.
And just having the red room kind of, I don't know, made it feel more intense.
Red room, bedroom. I guess you could call him a peeping Tom, is I think he's the principal, he could be a teacher. The guy in the school with the spike trap.
Oh yeah.
Where the girl has to pull out all the spikes in her body. I feel like that would kill her too, even if it doesn't hit a major artery. It would kill him, definitely.
Well, yeah.
But I don't think she'd bleed out from it. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
It depends how fast she got tended to, I guess. So going back in time a little bit, we actually see someone escape one of Jigsaw's trap. Kind of. With the knife chair, we see Cecil. First he's cutting his face, and then the chair breaks, and then he's free.
It's not from his own accord. There was a lot of blood in there, and he just kind of ran face first. Jigsaw does not look like the most mobile person because he's like over the age of 50, has cancer, just like steps to the side.
Yeah.
And then he just dies from barbed wire. Like that's just bad tackling performance on his part, I think.
Yeah. So he escaped briefly.
Yeah.
And then he immediately died.
Yeah, which brings us to the final trap of the movie, which I believe is the ice block electric chair. I love the concept for it.
Yeah, I really liked it too, especially because they involved Detective Matthews and Detective Hoffman, who kind of worked together before, and then now they're kind of up against each other in a way.
No, I wouldn't say up against each other.
They have to work together, I guess.
Yeah, like, I mean, work together is basically Eric Matthews not trying to kill himself. You can see the ice blocks on the ceiling and it's pointed out, and you're just waiting for the whole movie like, oh, I want to see that happen, and it actually does happen.
Yeah.
And you're like, the electric chair doesn't really happen, which is fine. It would have been a great concept to actually lead on to, though, for sure. And that whole thing was involving the twist in the movie. The twist where they were on the exact same timeline as Saw 3 and all this was happening at once.
Yeah. That twist was a little bit weaker compared to some of the previous ones we've seen.
You can kind of tell because nobody's talking about like the death of Jigsaw except for like the very beginning.
Yeah.
So like the whole movie was basically a flashback if you want to take a drink for that.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of clues that led up to it just because it wasn't the same time.
Okay, so the main reason with that is Detective Strom and Perez come in and they're just completely new, so you'd expect them to be kind of from a different like time period. So they replace Agent Carey and Agent Matthews, which I don't like because if you want to have like a long-lasting franchise, you could have just kept them alive. It's like replacing characters and trying to get us attached to different characters when you have the same characters that have the exact same purpose, but you kill them off for some reason. I didn't like that.
Yeah, it's almost as if the franchise was supposed to end after the third one.
So for the most part, I'm going to say that Saw 4 was the worst one thus far. And it's mainly because everything in between, like the characters, the traps weren't as good as Saw 3. They were good, but not as great as Saw 3 for sure.
Right.
So it feels like they were really just taking a step back, especially for character development and all that.
And finally, we come to the award ceremony, where we award one not-so-lucky nominee the Darwin Award. This award goes out to the character who made a stupid decision that resulted in them getting killed, someone else getting killed, or simply resulting in something bad happening that could have easily been avoided. This award can also be given to a character who is just plain dumb. Here are the nominees.
Today's first nominee, we have Cecil Adams, for receiving a get-out-of-jail-free card in his trap, but then immediately running into barbed wire and dying. There is no way that John is the most agile person, so that was just a bad play on Cecil's part.
Next, we have Ivan Lansness for stabbing one eye out immediately, but then not pushing the button for his other eye and getting his limbs violently ripped off of his body. It's not like he even had to do it himself like the Venus flytrap in Saw 2.
And the third and final nominee is... Wait, again? Jeff Denlin. For the one thing. The one thing he does in the entire movie. And guess what it is? He sees somebody that does not look like a serial killer and is looking just as confused as him. An ordinary guy holding a gun. And your first response is to immediately pull out a gun towards a cop. Yeah, I think we know who this award is going to.
And the winner is... Jeff Denlin for the second straight movie. Not only was this award given to Jeff for his poor decision making, again, but we're still holding a bit of a grudge from Saw 3.
And with all that being said, we hope you enjoyed our look into Saw 4. If you end up playing the game alongside the movie, or if you have any other feedback or suggestions, let us know in the comments below. We also want to know, what is your favorite Jeff moment from Saw 3 or Saw 4?
Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel because you don't want to miss tomorrow's episode where we take a look at the 5th installment of the Saw franchise. Thanks for tuning in, and this is us saying, cheers to fears.